The guard squeaked in fright as the hamster tilted a bit too far forwards. The ball cracked open on impact and the hamster hit the ground hard. The blood that stained the grass did not cover the ground as much as the cat's did when the hamster sliced open her stomach before. That is the way a powerful cat dominates her realm in the story, The Cat's Kingdom, which Animals My Love would like to share with everyone now. This story is called The Cat's Kingdom, a magical realism short story. The cat had been dead for a week before she came back. Her coat, once a soft orange that made even the lizards envious, was matted and torn apart in unflattering shapes. Her ears, once perfect triangles, were nipped and floppy. Her paws were sore and broken. Her eyes were a dull and glassy green. Her tail was crooked. Her back was arched. The large gash across her stomach remained, no longer dripping her lifeblood, but also not quite scabbed over. The cat limped down the street she had once commanded with barely enough energy to keep her tail from dragging along the pebbly asphalt. She could not even muster up disgust at the shape of her realm. The last time she had seen her kingdom, the trees had boughs of the greenest leaves, the roses were blooming in shades of pink and red and white, the old wood houses were covered with fresh paint, the streets still smelled of oil, and the sky only had clouds when rain was needed. Now, the sky was dark at noon. The trees had lost their leaves, the rose beds were dry, the houses were peeling old paint, and the streets were torn up and rough against her paws. She hadn't seen head nor tail of any creature since she started her journey back to her home. As the cat pushed herself further down the broken avenue, she heard the telltale growls of the pack from Locust, mixed with the low hisses and rattles of the snakes from the small fenced garden in the center of the roundabout. The sounds warned of a fight. In the middle of the street ahead of her, the two groups were squaring off, snarling, muzzled to whispering tongue. They were surrounded by a whole congregation of animals, kittens herded back by their parents, eagles perched next to lizards on the antlers of moose. They were all focused on the impending bout in front of them, shuffling nervously. The cat stopped at the edge of the crowd. As the animals around her noticed her presence, they stilled and bowed towards her. A wave went through the crowd until the circle around the fighters knelt. The dogs and snakes broke from their glare to stare in wonder at the cat, lowering their heads. A dog and a snake each stepped forward from their factions, paying their respects as leaders. She nodded to each, sitting carefully on her haunches and wincing as the action pulled the cut on her stomach. Two cats stepped forward to help her, but she waved them off with a flick of her matted tail. The cat started by asking what the two leaders were thinking, fighting each other in public. She spent several years and a few lives instilling peace into this land, and these two were merely seconds away from ruining it. The dog, shooting a glare towards the coiled snake beside him, responded that the snakes had attacked a member of his pack who were trying to gather food. Ever since the cat died, food had grown scarce. The new leader had claimed it all for herself, enforcing her rule with sheer numbers. The cat sighed to herself. A week she'd been gone and her perfect balance had been offset. She turned to the snake, asking the reptile for her side of the story. The snake hissed that it was all a misunderstanding perpetrated by the new liege, a hamster. She was merely defending herself against accusations, and it had escalated greatly. The cat twitched her tail thoughtfully. The hamster had been behind her death. It made sense that she would have taken control afterwards, especially if she had the support from the rodents. The cat stood, arching her back and stretching. She addressed the animals at present, stating that she was disappointed in their actions, but understood their plight. She has returned and would do her best to restore peace and balance to the realm. The animals fell into formation behind her. The cat gathered energy from their support, her steps becoming more even, the mud dripping off her coat, the gash on her stomach beginning to blot and scab. She was resuming her role as liege, in spirit if not yet in name. The alpha of the canines led the group, though still deferring to the cat as he directed them towards where the hamster had set up court. The cat gave a low growl as she recognized the location. This was where she had first held court when she was just a kitten. The hamster had gone too far. She was in a jeweled ball perched on top of her fence, flanked by 10 rodents, 2 guinea pigs, 4 hamsters, 3 rats, and a mouse. The fence was surrounded by hundreds of small mammals, chipmunks, squirrels, hamsters, rats, mice, and rabbits. They parted, whimpering as the cat and her entourage stalked through the crowd towards the hamster. They could feel the change in the air. They were no longer in charge. Their little grab for power was all for naught. As the cat approached the fence, the hamster started to fidget in her ball, rocking back and forth on the post. The guards squeaked in fright as the hamster tilted a bit too far forwards. The ball cracked open on impact, and the hamster hit the ground hard. The blood that stained the grass did not cover the ground as much as the cat's did when the hamster sliced open her stomach before. The rodents should have known a cat doesn't stay dead, especially a royal cat. Especially a royal cat. The cat once again took her place on her fence, licked her soft, clean paw, twitched her smooth tail, and all was right within the realm. The story is like a novel praising a small cat with her inner power and confirming the meaning of the cat's existence. Which is why we love finding and collecting all the meaningful stories about animals, especially cats, to send everyone and hope for your sympathy. So, if you have any, please send them to us at our email, animalsmylove999@gmail.com. Thank you so much for hearing our story. Goodbye and see you next time.